Hell no, I was with my own man when she was with him.
I find that hard to believe because, girl,
You
you
can
be
ask
like
her.
you like Five Nights at Freddy's.
What does that mean?
Meaning, man, it's a nightmare going on every night with you. You got to remember you showed
What
me.
does that mean?
Freddy's, that's where I wanna be, Vanessa.
It's been 9 years since the first game of Five Nights at Freddy's came out, and 8 years since the first announcement of the movie coming out. And just like most video game movies, it went through development hell. It's insane to think that an announcement came out when the series was at 3 games that came over the span of 7 months. And now the series has like 9 games, multiple books, many fan songs, and even a play. And I'm not talking about regular play, I'm talking about Toy Chica playing with my feelings. What you about, baby girl?
She is such a bad bitch, though. I will f the shit out of that robot, man. I'm not even...
The FNAF franchise has spawned many fans and also boosted the popularity of many people on the internet, like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, Corey Kenshin, IShowSpeed, wait, cut the clip! This all came from a man who took harsh criticisms and attempted to make one last game with Five Nights at Freddy's. And here we are with the movie coming out. I didn't watch it in theaters since it was streaming on Peacock, which is way more accessible. So my roommate and I sat and watched it on our laptop. And I'm not joking when I say this, the FNAF movie is probably the best video game movie yet. That's a really low bar. Honestly, if you say this past 2020 when we have Sonic, Mario, and Detective Pikachu, you really need a reality check. What's up guys, Blazingora, Blora, and I'll discuss why I think the FNAF movie is the best and closest to being the perfect video game movie than anything that came before it. Here's a review that you can eat dinner to.
Are you ready for Freddy?
The movie starts off with the security guard getting chased by Freddy and the others, only to get caught by Foxy. And they use Foxy's sprint multiple times in this movie. He really gets a shine here. The security guard gets put into this Saw-like trap, a double meaning of a trap that looks like it was in the Saw movie and an actual Saw trap being used. They don't show his face getting cut off or any blood, matter of fact, and I'm kinda disappointed that they didn't show like a speck of blood for this PG-13 movie. Because for PG-13 movies, there's only so much gore you can show on the big screen without getting bumped up to an R rating. I know a lot of people want to see more blood in this movie, but honestly, I'm fine with what we got for the most part. I didn't go into this movie expecting guts to be spilled out and shit like that, when this is a game franchise that doesn't even show blood for most of the game. Only blood I would have wanted to see is, of course, a little bit from the trap in the beginning and from the spring trap near the end, but that's it. You can convey horror or graphic scenes without showing blood, and it would still be an effective scene. Though, I didn't think the movie was that scary, but we'll get into that later in the video. Our main character, Mike Schmidt, the security guard from the first game, is horrible at maintaining jobs, mainly his security jobs, because of his PTSD of him letting his brother get kidnapped on accident. He tries to maintain his job in order to support his sister, whose parents abandoned her, and Mike ends up losing his current job due to his anger issues. A bit overreacting if I do say so myself. Mike gets offered a job by Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Like, is there a problem, my nigga?
And after multiple red flags, he turns down the offer. I'm glad Mike is ready to have development in this movie, since in the game he was just a guy in a room, a guy waiting to make 120. But here, Mike is made to be moody, very lazy, yearning to understand his sister despite being stingy. The anger issue thing doesn't really go anywhere, but I can say I enjoy Mike as a character. There's a reason for him to work at Freddy Fazbear's. He realizes that what he wants has consequences and has genuine reactions to everything that happens to him. He's not a perfect character, sometimes he feels a bit flat, but this is adapting a security guard that had no lines in the original game. It's basically making a new character out of something that wasn't there. And I say they did a good job.
Oh jeez, Rick! That sure is scary! Ooh.
Rick and Morty.
For life.
Mike takes the job after a Karen, I don't remember her actual name, threatens to take his sister into custody, even though she's only in it for the money. Mike then heads to Freddy Fazbear's not only to build his credibility as a caretaker, just in case he goes to court, but because he loves his sister. A very good plot point because I know everyone that finished the first game asks the major question, why would anyone want to work here?
Exotic butters.
Honestly, it's better than working for Mr. Krabs with no pay.
Show's over, cheapskate!
Now, the movie doesn't go as he expected to. It's an adaptation of the first game with elements of the other game sprinkled into it, so you're not gonna get a one-to-one let's play in the movie. I thought Mike would go through 5 nights looking at the animatronics, but they don't even come out until like the 3rd night. And you know what? That's completely fine. People expected a whole playthrough adapted into a movie, including me, but I realized that would be kind of boring compared to how they did the movie now. When I was 11 and imagined my own FNAF movie, I would have included the backstory of the person who made Freddy Fazbear's, the guy that kills the children, Mike working the first night and notices the animatronics are out to get him, 2nd night Foxy comes out, 3rd night he sees Going Freddy, 4th night everyone starts to come for him and the door stopped working, and the 5th night ends with the power going out and surviving at the last second as 6 AM approaches. A plot like that could be adapted greatly, but just doing the same things that happen in the game with not enough plot would make for kind of a shallow movie. A good adaptation, of course, but just a shallow movie. You would also have to work around the plot to give Mike a reason to stay 5 nights and not quit his job. The only reason I'm seeing him staying 5 nights at Freddy's is that he's very, very broke. I just think the movie takes on the plot much better than what I imagined or what the games had thought. Not saying a straight adaptation isn't fine, this is just better. Mike goes in the first night, checks out the place, though I wish we could have seen every room from the scene alone, and already sleeps on the job. Like, I know being a night guard at an abandoned place ain't that thrilling, but come on, this is your first night on the job. You gotta build out that credibility. Might as well get a supervisor for this guy.
Now clean up this mess or you're fired!
Mike brings his poster of Nebraska to work not only to cope with the myth that Nebraska is a state that exists, but to keep dreaming about the day his brother was kidnapped. And this time, it's different. 5 kids appear in his dream and then fuck off right after. Mike wakes up on the ground and his shift ends. Night 1 goes pretty well. The next day, the Karen, who I just now realized is the aunt, plans to have Mike's credibility ruined by hiring some people to break in and ruin his workplace. The meeting gets interrupted by It's him! It's the game theorist!
People say that, but you know, it's just a theory.
He said the thing! Bro, I nearly screamed when I saw him appear on the screen. I already know if I saw it in theaters, my audience would have shouted to the skies. Any audience that didn't react to MatPat showing up, your rights have been revoked. I'm glad that 20 million hours dedicated to FNAF lore paid off, Matt.
Watch your calories.
Don't you tell me how many calories I need, bitch!
Also, Markiplier was supposed to be the guard in the first scene of the movie, but couldn't be in it due to filming Iron Lung. I don't want to talk about it, I might get sentimental. The second night rolls by, Mike has the same dream, only this time he gets slashed by a kid who possesses Foxy. He sees a cop at the door and oh my This is Vanessa from FNAF Security Breach. Before watching this movie, I didn't know much about her besides being the security guard in that game and the whole white woman jump scare meme. Vanessa shows Mike the animatronics in their whole dancing glory. Kinda disappointed they didn't play the FNAF jingle here, or in the entire movie, since that's the most iconic song in the whole franchise, but maybe next time. Vanessa hints about the place shutting down because some kids went missing back in the 80s, but just leaves it at that. The boys break in and trash the place, notifying the animatronics that they need to up the kill count for this movie. And the part that shocked me the most was the fucking MVP of this movie. The cupcake.
Oh, hell no.
I don't remember this cupcake doing anything in the game, so when it just leaped out to this guy's face, I got startled. Bro's face munching, leg munching, and even getting William Afton to be spring locked. It's insane. Is anyone possessing this cupcake? Is this supposed to be Chica's stand power? Because it sure is stealing the show. I do love this scene since it shows elements of the actual games, like the animatronics looking at cameras, going into vents, and Foxy chasing, though it's a bit weird that they're out in the daytime since that never occurs in the video games. Might as well call it Five Nights and a Day at Freddy's. Also, the Buy of 87 scene? That shit was not the Buy of 87. That was the chomp of the millennium. How the hell did that one suit bite half her body off? The menu said frontal lobe, not head, torso, and breasts.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
Vanessa checks up on Mike after thinking he was careless and letting people break into the pizzeria. Honestly, Vanessa felt kinda uninteresting and flat, poor choice of words, on my first watch. But after a significant reveal in the movie, rewatching the movie knowing what happens makes me like her more. She gives certain hints to her past and her connection with her family, and doesn't want Mike to break his bond with Abby. Mike brings Abby along for the third night since Max is nowhere to be found. The animatronics awaken and Mike catches Abby playing with them. Not gonna lie, I love how every time Freddy looks at Mike, he seems pissed off.
Those eyebrows.
I like this because the animatronics are more lenient towards kids than adults, since being a kid is more relatable. And oh boy, they're planning to make Abby relate more. And after that, night 3 ends. I'm just going to mention a gripe here. I wish the animatronics came out for night 1, or at least night 2, so Mike could have had a hunch that something was up with them. Give him a reason earlier to use some of the things in the games, like shutting doors or using the lights rather than just getting hurt from his dreams. Spoilers, he doesn't do any of those things in this movie from his desk. Mike tries to get Abby to decipher her drawings that now include the ghost children, and hints at a yellow rabbit being with them. This is where Mike confirms that yes, these animatronics are being possessed by ghost children. Fourth night, Jesus, comes by and Vanessa is already at the place as Mike wonders why she didn't warn him about the possessed animatronics. Abby gets everyone, including the animatronics, to build a fort right on the 4th night, which doesn't last a fortnight. I'm sorry.
Nigga, you ain't funny.
Yeah, I was not expecting this from a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. The animatronics just helping make a fort with the security guard, all of them roaming around happy-go-lucky. Like, is this creative mode? As weird as this is, I kinda like it. There's nothing wrong with having it. It's there to give a false sense of security before the final night. The only problem is, like I mentioned before, having Mike not interact with the animatronics in the first 2 nights, or feel like something's wrong with them before. We got the kills from the other people, but not much of our protagonists feeling scared of them. Vanessa stops Mike from almost touching a spring lock and explains what they do. I already know that every FNAF fan already knows what's coming up. Abby touches Bonnie's guitar and fucking blows up in front of everybody, and Vanessa treats this as like some sort of accident. No, this isn't an accident. She just took in 20,000 volts into her body and got Marty McFly'd off the stage. Get her an ambulance right now.
What are you so afraid of?
You can do whatever you want with your own life, but if you ever bring Abby back here again, I will shoot you.
Who the fuck says that? The next morning, oh, actually no. Let me put in one more joke.
But if you ever bring Abby back here again, I will shoot you.
Police brutality coming up.
The next morning, Abby gets angry at Mike, thinking he's giving her away to her aunt, and Mike leaves for the 5th night. He has the same dream again, except this time, Garrett doesn't get kidnapped. The ghost of Freddy? Actually, I just learned yesterday, it's the ghost of Golden Freddy. I got those two confused because I thought the kid was, you know, he's wearing brown, so I thought that was Freddy. But he's Golden Freddy, so I'm sorry for not noticing that. The ghost of Freddy, Golden Freddy, offers Mike to have this same comforting dream for the rest of his life in exchange for Abby. Mike almost goes through with it, but thankfully through character development, Mike realizes that he doesn't want to give Abby away. Honestly, that exchange was pretty dumb. Like, it's not like they're giving Garrett back, they're just giving you a better dream to cope with. But who am I to talk? I never lost a little sibling before, so I'll let it slide. Mike wakes up to the saw trap, and thankfully he gets out in time. Sucks that the first security guard found the screw but couldn't pick it out fast. Mike just got a better skill check. This next part surprised me. Freaking Golden Freddy teleports to the house out of nowhere. How? I don't know, probably because of Abby's bond or something. The aunt is supposedly dead, and I don't know how Mike is going to explain to the feds how she died. I doubt they'll believe a teleporting golden bear would kill her. Abby takes a taxi and sees
I am just gonna come.
Corey should get an Oscar for this performance. All he did was just act like himself, and he diffed 90% of other actors. Give Corey his cinematic universe now. Vanessa finds Mike and dumps some exposition onto him, explaining that the man who killed the kids is William Afton, and she is her daughter. I was genuinely shocked at this and thought this was a plot point in Security Breach, but no! This is a whole new plot point made by the movie. This is why Vanessa has been secretive about the animatronics while also trying to persuade Mike to take care of Abby. It's because her father wants her to keep Mike away from the truth and have the robots kill him. And like I said, it's better catching all the details about Vanessa on rewatch. Who would have thought that William Afton was Vanessa's father?
Aw, thank you! Oh, thank you, Mr. Blow the Picture for me.
Mike tries to save Abby doing some Mission Impossible stuff on the robots. I don't fucking know, man. And the big bad finally shows himself. The man behind the slaughter. The man that's not in purple. William Afton. Kinda wish the phone guy showed up a bit more, giving off hints that he was the one that killed the kids, or at least give off ominous vibes, because he only has 2 scenes in this whole movie. We don't need to give him much backstory because all we need to know is that he's a maniac killer. It just feels like a waste of his screen time in my opinion. Oh well, maybe next time. After Mike gets beat up and Vanessa gets stabbed, Abby uses the drawings to show the kids that Afton is the one that killed them. And in one swoop, the MVP cupcake activates the spring traps on Afton, making him collapse. The gang escape the very unstable restaurant. Vanessa is put in a coma, and Mike takes care of Abby for the rest of his life. And Afton is left to rot in the corner of the room waiting for someone to save him. Just like at the end of FNAF 3. And that was Five Nights and a Day at Freddy's. I think Scott Cawthon, Blumhouse, Emma Tammy, and Jason Blue did a spectacular job in creating a film for the Five Nights at Freddy's fans, including references, sounds, and characters from the games, and putting them into a feature-length film, while standing out on its own. I know most video game movies tend to take different directions from the source material. I'm used to it by now, and I honestly think if it's done well, then there wouldn't be much backlash from me for them changing stuff around, like giving Sonic a backstory or having Peach not getting kidnapped. And this movie feels way different from the games with how Mike interacts with the animatronics. A pro for this movie is that it isn't a full-on playthrough of the game that's made into a 2-hour movie. Like the analogy I gave before in this review, it could be done well, but just having a guy survive 5 nights at his desk sounds very boring. And if the critics gave the movie a low score because of it, well, that's just insane. Some people think that it's boring for having too much lore when the FNAF series' biggest strength is its lore, so much that it makes one man spend millions of hours making videos on it. I praise the beginning of this film for setting up Mike's character, the plot, the bonds, and the backstory of the children. The lore makes it feel like a fleshed out movie rather than just a slasher film filled with animatronics. These are characters you're spending the entire movie with, and if you think it's boring because of the lore, well, I'd say it's okay to dislike it if you're not really interested in story bits and horror films like this and just want to watch people get killed. But if you say the lore brings down the film because it's not well put together or is unnecessary, I'm going to have to disagree with you right there. The lore is necessary to have the movie feel like a movie. You can't just get rid of the most important part of FNAF. I still love this movie even when it takes a different direction from the games. And speaking of getting rid of FNAF elements, a con I have with this movie is that there isn't a single time where Mike is doing the security stuff at his desk. The only time we get to see that is with the vandalizer during the middle section. He's closing vents, checking the cameras, closing the realistic doors. Kinda wish they had the Star Wars doors from the games. And we don't get one scene with the main security guard doing any of that. The way they made the animatronics is amazing, and having the actors besides Foxy convey emotion through their stiff moment is very impressive. I love when Freddy looks pissed at Mike in multiple scenes. He really should have gotten more screen time like the others. Now the thing about the robots looking realistic comes at a cost of them feeling scary. Many people say this movie fails at being a horror movie, and I kinda get what they're getting at, but still slightly disagree. I think there are horror elements done very well even on rewatch, like the cupcake's first appearance, the instruction video glitching, and the kid's eye bleeding black. But the one thing that doesn't hit the horror aspect much is the animatronic themselves. And I think it's because of their second appearance being in the daytime that really kills the horror aspect. If the scene happened at night or with Mike, or even, as I said, build up tension by having Mike know something's off with the robots in like the first 2 nights, then they'll feel scary. But once they hit daytime, it turns from, "Oh, I'm so scared about these robots," to, "Wow, I can't wait to see Bonnie choke that guy. Oh, those guys are so dead." The animatronics don't even look bloody or broken down enough like in the lore of the games either, so that can apply as well. There are still moments where I was shook or surprised, and to be honest, for a game series where the only thing scary are the jump scares, I'm thankful the movie doesn't do much of those besides Balloon Boy. There's way too many movies nowadays that rely on jump scares as their only scare tactic. The PG-13 rating certainly held this movie back too, though I do feel like more blood could have been shown without bumping up the rating. Some of it feels fake. Who knows, deeming something as scary is subjective, and as a 20-year-old man that's used to the horror genre of living animatronics killing people, I think they did the horror elements just right. Though sometimes it feels like a fan film. But failed in making the animatronics scary to me. So basically 50-50 scary. The characters are decent. I gave my thoughts on how Mike and Vanessa felt developed, but still kind of flat. I wish William Afton was in the movie more, maybe more from the Vandalizers. The acting feels a bit hit or miss. Vanessa sounds like she's bored most of the movie, not bossy enough. And the child acting is, well, it's expected to be hit or miss. Though the kid that played Golden Freddy really killed the tension. He's a great actor. He did a really good job. All the cameos from Corey, MatPat, the cameos on the Diner Hall of Fame, and Living Tombstone are very well welcomed. Do I think this is the best video game movie yet, despite its flaws? Yes. Tied with Sonic 2. Sorry, Sonic 2 is just hard to beat. And who knows, maybe the sequels to these games will top the recent ones. Subscribe, comment, turn notifications on, and keep on blazing. This was truly Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, jeez, Rick. That sure is scary. Ooh.
Rick and Morty. For life.